The United Nations donates medical equipment worth over $3.9 million to assist the government's response plan. The kits have arrived at the Douala International Airport. Measures to contain the COVID-19 pandemic might push Cameroonians to lose their traditional values, like the leaving of hands unwashed after eating a rare meal and receiving spittle from a chief by his subjects as blessings. Tonight, we get the opinion of an anthropologist on these practices. Plus, Cameroonians of all walks of life join the efforts to combat the contamination and spread of the coronavirus through the donation of equipment to contain the virus. And those are top stories. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the 7:30 News. I am Gladys Tata. The first consignment of medical equipment worth $3.9 million has arrived at the Douala International Airport from China. The donation of medical kits for both the prevention and treatment of COVID-19 cases is the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, in Cameroon's own contribution to the Cameroon government on its preparedness and response to plan to the COVID-19 pandemic. Laris Nane Porter reports from CRTV Littoral in Douala.
The items are a first battery of medical kits and other materials to equip hospitals in charge of COVID-19 patients, consisting 20 ventilators, 100 infusion pumps, and 2,400 infrared thermometers. They count for the first consignment that arrived at Douala International Airport this Friday, April 17, from China to assist government in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic in Cameroon. This joint initiative of the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, in partnership with the World Bank and Global Fund. According to Jean-Luc Stallon, UNDP's representative in Cameroon, it is to guarantee the health and safety of communities hit by the pandemic, which is their top priority. Thus, assisting Cameroon by equipping the hospitals in charge of coronavirus cases with this material will go a long way to save lives at critical stages of COVID-19. The second consignment of the donation, worth $3.9 million, will soon arrive Cameroon in the days ahead and will contain 20 defibrillators, 100 pulse oximeters, 3 million surgical masks, 1.1 million cartons of gloves, 25,000 medical gowns, 24,000 shoe covers, 50,000 suits, and 25,000 test kits for COVID-19.
Quite good news there from the Chinese Republic. The French ambassador to Cameroon says his country is ready to assist Cameroon fight the novel COVID-19. Christophe Guilou gave the assurance a while ago on the French weekly program Actualité Hebdo with Ibrahim Sherif. Here is a portion of his exchange with the Central Director of Radio and TV, Ibrahim Sherif. Let's have a listen.
Je suis venu voir le président pour échanger avec lui, comprendre les décisions qui ont été prises.
I went to see the president to exchange with him to understand decisions taken by Cameroonian authorities who sought international assistance relayed by African leaders and multinational bodies. It is within this context that I went to propose French assistance to the Cameroonian government. We are urgently disbursing through the French Development Agency 7 billion CFA francs for the acquisition of medication and test kits, etc., etc. To this can be added 700 million CFA francs to assist the activities of Institut Pasteur du Cameroun, which employs Cameroonian researchers to strengthen its capacities against the epidemic.
De soutenir ces activités pour mieux enrayer ce début d'épidémie.
Kenyans have displayed through their choice of mask their patriotism plus their attachment to their customs of tradition. In the streets, we can find masks made with local fabrics like Dub of the West and Togo of the Northwest. Some have even opted for masks made with fabrics carrying national colors. Let's cruise around the streets of Yaoundé in this report with Beatrice Losamba to see how much of our culture is being displayed in the wearing of masks. Beatrice?
Between Cameroonians and their masks is this large margin on which is written their love for culture and tradition. Take a look at the pile of masks out for sale to notice the dominance of local colors. The familiar Togo and Dub fabric come in handy in designing a face covering to hide from the coronavirus.
When we are in front of insecurity, the first thing of each person is to get back in their community, to get back in their family, to find the possibility to face the situation.
Observers have been quick to raise, you can only use what you've got. Even our urge for modernity has not made us drift from our traditions.
Even Cameroonian society is open to modernity. That shows us that our society have their socio-cultural roots. And we are in struggling between tradition and modernity. And we mobilize our traditional intention to react to facing this sanitary crisis.
Wearing a mask altogether is embedded in our culture. The fearful masquerades we've grown accustomed to. And we often paint our faces to appear as a mask during festivals. So back again to our roots, we can't help but look like masquerades in this mask raid. Even wearing a mask doesn't mask our cultural identity, does it?
It does, Beatrice. COVID-19 preventive measures are said to have affected certain African traditions anchored on fraternity through the sharing of meals, drinks, and even form of greetings. Anthropologists are of the opinion that the prolonged spread of this health pandemic may lead to an extinction of such practices like the leaving of hands unwashed after eating a rare meal and receiving spittle from a chief by his subjects as blessings, all practiced in Cameroon. Emanuela Vemier went finding out how for the 7:30 News.
Life around the fireside where food is eaten from a common dish and the same drink shared by many in the African culture has been affected by COVID-19 preventive measures, experts say.
In the behavior of the Africans, the elder will touch the kids when he wants to bless them. You need to touch the head of somebody you are blessing. If you want to show your friendship, you will shake hands with him. You will even embrace him. But now, if he's suffering from a given illness, you'll never touch him.
COVID-19 killed some elements of our culture related to the body and to the speech. Sharing a meal or sharing a bottle of beer, that is the proof that culture is dynamic.
The ritual of keeping hands unwashed after eating a rare meal to the reception of spittle on the hands by a subject from his king as blessing, all practices in some tribes in Cameroon have given way to constant hand washing. Could these COVID-19 preventive measures lead to an extinction of such practices?
It is important to say that a certain element of our culture will be disappear with this illness.
Are we killing our cultural beliefs because this coronavirus? I will say no, because we know that it will last just a little time. As soon as the sickness vanishes, we'll come back to our African behavior.
Until then, would some Cameroonians once again share the fraternity that's typical of their culture?
A plethora of artists across Cameroon, Africa and the world at large are putting their notoriety at the service to fight against the ravaging coronavirus. A repertoire devoted to the disease keeps increasing. Many artists are resorting to the social media to sensitize their fans and to the public. Victor Siga has more.
Aux prières du soir.
The musical planet has lost some of its best soldiers, like Manu Dibango of Cameroon. Olus Mabelo of Congo, but it has not stopped the war. Artists have been mobilizing and raising awareness among their fans on the new coronavirus in an attempt to save lives. In Cameroon, well-known musicians and comedians aware of the danger have stood up to support government actions against the scourge through their voices. Icons like REPONSE, Ben Martins, Indira, and Daniel Ndo are inviting Cameroonians to respect the barrier measures against the pandemic. Across the continent, the mobilization of artists and other important personalities is also impressive.
It could be your mother, your father, even your sister. Let's stand together to fight this deadly disease now.
Whatever their musical style, their generation or language, the objective is to get the message through. This general mobilization of artists around the world, mainly on social media, shows a concern commensurate with the inherent danger in the pandemic.
The 9th edition of the Prayer Day for Peace has been celebrated by the Muslim community in Yaoundé. On the occasion, the faithful prayed especially for the stop of the spread of the coronavirus pandemic in Cameroon and to the world at large. It was presided over by the head of state's representative, Amadou Mustafa. Joyce Tata tells us more.
Prayer interceding for God's intervention in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. A peculiar prayer session as it equally marks the Prayer for Peace Day at the ASSITS Mosque in Yaoundé.
It's a regular prayer every time before the sacred month of Ramadan. Particularly this year, we have prayed to Almighty Allah to protect us against this pandemic of COVID-19. It is our main message, and people are going to continue to pray all over Cameroon for peace, prosperity. Everybody must respect those regulations and pray to Almighty God to protect us because He is our Savior.
In the presence of Amadou Mustafa, representative of the head of state, as well as other dignitaries, these Muslim faithful interceded for the peace of Allah to reign over Cameroon and the world at large. Imams in the center region and beyond have been implored to encourage the flock continue dwelling in prayers in such a crisis period, for several measures could be taken, but only God can save humanity from the virus.
And on to this press release, the general manager of Camtel would like to inform the public that around 5 p.m. on Friday, April 17, 2020, an act of vandalism was perpetrated on the optical fiber that services the Yaoundé Emergency Operations Center some 400 meters away from the said center. Once she was notified of this incident, the general manager personally oversaw the work conducted to repair the link. The 1510 hotline is therefore operational for calls once again since the 19th of April, that is today, at 11 a.m. A preliminary investigation has been opened and will follow due course in accordance with the relevant provisions of the regulations in force. The construction of a backup optical fiber link to service the Emergency Operations Center is underway, and upon completion in the next few days will prevent the occurrence of any such disruption in the future. And the general manager would like to apologize for the inconveniences arising from this case of force majeure and reassures all users of electronic communication services in Cameroon that Camtel's team remain fully mobilized towards assisting government in the response measures taken to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. And this press release has been signed by Madame Judith Sunday Epus Achidi. And let's now take you over to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center here in Yaoundé to meet Baldwin Sama, standing by live with the latest updates on COVID-19 in the country. Good evening, Baldwin, and tell us what we hear. We hear the number of persons who have received from recovered from COVID-19 has increased. You have the floor, Baldwin.
Well, good evening, Gladys Tata. You welcome to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center this Sunday evening, where, as you rightly said, the number of confirmed cases of Cameroonians who have recovered from COVID-19 keeps on increasing on a daily basis. And as of tonight, we have 305 confirmed cases of Cameroonians who have recovered from COVID-19. This information was confirmed to us a while ago by officials of the Ministry of Public Health during a press briefing here in Yaoundé. And with us as resource person tonight is Dr. Eric Tandy, who is a public health expert in the Ministry of Public Health. Good evening, Doctor.
Yeah, good evening, Bodwin.
Doctor, today we are talking about a particular phenomenon where we hear there are cases of some medical institutions or hospitals where some doctors are extorting money from patients or from potential Cameroonians. What is the situation on the ground?
Yeah, that's right, Bodwin. If you remember, on the 16th of April, in a ministerial press release, he called on the attention of all regional delegates and managers of health facility that he has been drawn to his attention that there is this kind of malpractices that is going on, even though the head of state have put it very clear that all treatment related to COVID-19 is free of charge. However, brigade and inspector generals and all the brigade controllers within the regions and the regional delegates have been activated, and there is some strict control we put in place.
And since you're talking about this strict control, what exactly do Cameroonians need to know as far as what measures have been put in place by the Ministry of Public Health to put an end to such unfortunate situations?
Yeah, remember there is decentralization process already that has been put in place, and this is ongoing. So therefore it implies that the regional delegate with the regional team and with the brigade controllers are already in the field to put an end to such practices. And again, you know, Cameroon is a country of law, and we cannot yet determine what sanctions will help as far as this is concerned. But mind you, I think the practice has to end. But all patients that are being related to COVID-19 should know, and the population should know, that it is free of charge.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eric Tandy, for always being available as a resource person on the 7:30 newscast on CRTV.
Thank you very much, brother.
Well, Gladys, you must have noticed that directly behind me, staff for this call center of the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, they are busy working this evening as compared to yesterday. This is so because the toll-free number, the hotline 1510, is now available after the optical fiber was tampered with on Friday. Now, Cameroonians are encouraged to continue dialing this toll-free number 1510 to get to know more about the COVID-19 in the country and equally get to express some of their worries. And the Ministry of Public Health will, from this Monday, April 20, 2020, begin a campaign. That is to say, they will begin disinfecting some markets in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. And this Monday, they will begin with 3 markets. The Etudi, the Ligejua, and the Source markets in Yaoundé will be disinfected by officials of the Ministry of Public Health, with Cameroonians called upon to continue scrupulously respecting all the measures outlined by the government as far as fighting against the spread of COVID-19 in the country is concerned, especially those that have to do with hygiene and social distancing. So the take-home message from here is that 305 Cameroonians have so far recovered from COVID-19. Back to you, Gladys.
Quite good news there, Baldwin Sama. Thank you very much. Inhabitants of Soa subdivision in the Mefanda-Famba division of the Central region have taken the commitment to fully respect government's measures aimed at curbing the spread of COVID-19. They were reacting during a sensitization campaign spearheaded by the mayor of the locality, Apollinaire Isama Embolo, alongside administrative authorities. Romeo Kenny has more.
A well-prepared caravan equipped with sanitary kits heading to the Soa urban market. The special operation aimed at educating the public on the need to respect measures to stop the spread of the coronavirus is led by the mayor of the municipality and the divisional officer, Cyril Belia.
Through the world. So, protect ourselves and protect our family and the society.
Messages transmitted in local Ewondo, French and English languages. Then comes the turn of villages. First stop, Nkolfulu.
The message we have to the population is to sensibilize them so that they apply those measures. It is important for the population to wash their hands regularly to prevent that disease.
Elsewhere, emphasis is laid on the imminent respect of the social distancing rule. While wrapping up the sensitization campaign in Komtu, the mayor said about 5,000 protective face masks will be distributed to some vulnerable persons in the community. Meantime, markets of the locality will be disinfected.
Audrey Nabila Monkami's Cameroon 2020 has received kits to fight against the spread of COVID-19 in Cameroon worth 1 million CFA francs. The kits, made up of face masks and hand sanitizers, were handed over to Miss Cameroon yesterday by a humanitarian association, the Motbinama, to freely be distributed to Cameroonians in the different regions. Baldwin Sama has more.
Miss Cameroon 2020 has masked her beauty. Audrey Nabila Monkam has worn gloves and is more engaged in the fight against the spread of COVID-19 in Cameroon. For several weeks, she has been distributing face masks and hand sanitizers to some Cameroonians in different neighborhoods of Yaoundé as part of her passion, and this time, this humanitarian association, Motbinama International, decided to accompany her during this campaign. These kits, worth 1 million CFA francs, made up of 1,000 face masks, hand sanitizers and buckets, were handed over by this association to Miss Cameroon 2020.
There are a lot of people who do not have the opportunity of getting masks or hand sanitizers or to take proper care of themselves. But with this, I'm sure we are going to be able to touch some lives. We cannot help the whole of Cameroon, but we can help those that we can, and where our hands can reach, we will make sure we stretch them there.
Audrey Nabila Monkam, while receiving these kits, thanks the donors, saying it will help her reach out to the needy in the different regions of Cameroon.
We already started the campaign actually here in Yaoundé, and then my other runners up, since I cannot go around the whole of Cameroon, they are going to take care of Southwest, they're going to take care of Littoral, they're going to take care of the other regions. So right now the strategic places are going to be chosen, then we will know where to go to.
The sum of 300,000 CFA francs was equally handed over to permit Audrey Nabila continue with her humanitarian activities against COVID-19, as she is accompanied in this campaign by her second and third runners-up respectively, alongside Miss Adamawa.
The platform of ASSITS of the East region has donated a consignment of sanitary tools and 5,000 face masks to the population of the East region. The anti-COVID-19 gifts were handed to the East regional governor by the representative of the ASSITS, Amang Jodom, Secretary of State at the Ministry of Public Works in charge of roads, for onward transmission to the 14 health districts in the region. Elizabeth Mbombone Agbo has more.
By handing the 5,000 face masks, 250 cartons of washing soap, 20 gallons of Camel water, and 20 gallons of liquid soap to the East Regional Governor, the elites of the East are sending across a message to the population.
The elite of this region decided to move to help to all our people to protect themselves by bringing them tools for them to secure themselves, to win the battle against the pandemic COVID-19.
The anti-COVID-19 gifts, destined to the 14 health districts of the region, is said to be a welcome initiative at a time when the East region counts 2 positive cases of the disease.
Today we want to thank our elite to give us this material. They start by the key message in the national language, and today they bring something to help the health district to improve the work of sensitization.
Minister Armand Jordan used the opportunity to announce the creation of a COVID-19 screening post in the East region.
The head of government have decided to implant here a special station to test from here, so people will not be obliged to move to Yaoundé to be tested.
The COVID-19 screening post, an answer to the cry of the population, the mayor of Beto-One, who played host to the ceremony, expressed gratitude to the government.
We take you over to the Northwest region, where more than 1,000 people in Bamenda have this Saturday received face masks and detergents to enable them prevent the outbreak of the coronavirus. The gifts are from a non-governmental organization known as Nkumkumfetfet, with the objective of supporting the government in the fight against COVID-19. Mabel Makemdi reports from CRTV Northwest in Bamenda.
A scramble for face masks and detergents being distributed by members of the Nkomufetfet non-governmental organization. The people are unconscious that they are not 1 meter apart from each other as they struggle to be armed against the coronavirus. An opportunity for the non-governmental organization to enlighten them on the need for social distancing against all odds.
The crowd was overwhelming because people were ready to pick their masks, but we have sensitized them enough that they should know that getting closer to people will not help. We should not greet, we should not take our hands to our faces.
The people who gathered at the Bamenda Hospital roundabout are overwhelmed with the gesture. Buckets and soap for hand washing have also been stationed at some public places within the city by the NGO as part of the measures to fight coronavirus. The campaign will expand to Bali and other villages in the Northwest region.
COVID-19 on check. The Nyat Foundation has combed the entire day division and the month-long sensitization drive and material distribution. Prisons, medical centers, chiefdoms and cultural groupings have also been challenged to uphold best hygiene practices as confirmed cases in the West region ticks up. Larry Efande trailed the last lap of the sensitization caravan that is in Bangante, the divisional seat, and now reports.
A fold that is bold, with feet that are swift to fight the coronavirus COVID-19 here in the Nde division of the country's West region. This is the last lap of the divisional sensitization tour of the Nyat Foundation. After Bazu, Basamba and Tonga, this weekend they wrap it off with Bangante, the divisional seat.
We've been to the remote places as far we could so that we can spread the words to everybody to be cautious, to be aware of the danger, and to get all the measures, to take all the measures necessary that will help them to fight coronaviruses.
We are just trying to apply the government measure taken to bar the road of to the COVID-19, and our population are conscious that disease is real.
It's a business day and thousands have thronged the Bangante Mache Bay, a popular market, so a soap in hand and a word in time will sure keep the virus away. From chiefdoms to health centers, farming groups, prisons and administrative offices. This may have cost them over 25 million francs CFA, but they aren't resting on their oars yet.
Since the outbreak of the coronavirus in the country, the medical personnel has been giving its best to rescue those infected by the pandemic. Tonight, we take interest on an intensive care anesthesiologist, Dr. David McCullough, who is the focal point in charge of COVID-19 cases at the Douala Lakintini Hospital. During the period of COVID-19, the hospital has virtually become Dr. McCullough's new home, as Alphonse Abongwa tells us in the following report.
He pilots the battery of medical staff catering for COVID-19 cases in the Lakentini Hospital, and henceforth he is in charge of the specialized center for COVID-19 patients at Yassa. Since the outbreak of the pandemic, this intensive care anesthesiologist has become virtually sleepless.
The care for these coronavirus patients who are stigmatized requires special attention. Work here is 24 hours on 24 because we have to manage new patients, deceased ones and those being discharged. Even at 2 a.m. there are patients in town calling, especially because they are stressed of the phobia for corona.
Each day, Dr. David McCullough plays a routine role to captain the medical ship, stabilize extreme cases, reassure those in fear.
Each morning, I am expected to be aware of all entries and exits, deaths and patients who have been transferred, because there are unstable cases who, for reasons of oxygenation, are sent to more equipped health facilities like the Douala Gynecobstetric and Pediatric Hospital. We also visit the sick and equally ensure that the medical staff have protection kits.
The medical practitioners says he is sacrificing for his country because he owes a lot to those who trained him. This selfless service to the nation is worth the salt, especially at this critical moment, and to the doctor and his colleagues. This reporter says, kudos, champion.
Anyone who disrespects government measures against COVID-19 will meet with heavy sanctions from the National Gendarmerie running special campaigns across the country to stop the spread of the killer virus. The National Gendarmerie has taken the non-tolerance control measures to special road safety campaigns on the Cameroonian highways. Yesterday, Saturday, Kilian Dandifon followed the task force to the Yaoundé-Douala National Road No. 3 and brought back this report.
The Bamba at the entrance to the economic capital Douala on Saturday. Passengers quarrel over the strict control of the gendarmerie in a special road safety campaign to get commuters respect government measures to stop the spread of COVID-19.
If we take two measures, for instance, you will see that passengers own and wear their face mask even if some of them don't put the mask on the right way. We have also observed that the number of passengers in the vehicles is respected, though not the full measure.
Transport agency managers have an important role to play in the COVID-19 control effort.
The offenses come from adding one or two passengers. I cannot say whether it is the agency or the driver doing this, but the agencies have to be more vigorous with the passenger listing in such a way that if we have a COVID-19 case, it should be possible to trace everyone who traveled with them.
Apart from the recalcitrant cases, the general response is positive.
You cannot joke with human life. We don't tolerate disrespect of the measures. Here at our post, any person who comes washes their hands. We also check out any passengers above the authorized number, get the car owners, reimburse them to board a new vehicle, then we keep a copy of the passenger list.
On the sidelines of the focus on fighting COVID-19, the Road Safety Task Force is watching out for the general respect of the highway code.
The first ordinary session of the 2020 legislative year at the National Assembly, which ended Saturday, witnessed the adoption of 4 bills relating to the economy, transport and telecommunications sectors. While the Bureau of the House was renewed, the members of Parliament exchanged on the coronavirus and the fiscal regime of the state, but also welcomed a new Secretary General of the lawmaking institution. Esther Kima has a roundup of the session.
With 101 new members elected for the 10th legislature, the Bureau of the National Assembly witnessed significant changes. Although Honorable Kawege Jibril was re-elected as House Speaker, several others made their entry.
To sit amongst the people that make decisions is a wonderful experience. Talk less of sitting on the stage with the speaker and presiding over a session.
Meantime, 4 bills relating to the economic community of Central African states were scrutinized and adopted.
This treaty has been revised to emphasize on challenges and, more importantly, to build on cooperation. So cooperation at the level of universities, research centers are going to be one of the key areas.
The Inter-African Conference on Social Security, the Convention for the Control of Ships' Ballast Water and Sediments, as well as that governing postal activity in Cameroon.
We have public operator, but we have also many other, but they need to have a concession, a license, and even a declaration. And we will have an operator. This operator will be sure that there is competitiveness.
The people's representatives also exchanged on the evolution of COVID-19.
What we are requesting that the minister does is to ensure that he provides test kits.
We will receive about 100 respirators. We have around 20,000 kits today.
Far from the debates, the new clerk of the House, Honorable Gaston Kumba, was commissioned into office.
My ambition is to serve, to have all the confidence of members of a bureau and to make that National Assembly can grow.
The session took place in the strict respect of government measures to keep the nation safe of the coronavirus.
On the sidelines, members of the Senate have begun returning to their various constituencies after 1 month of deliberations within the first session of the 2020 legislative year. During the session, which ended on Saturday, the Senate elected a new bureau and adopted 4 bills. The session was equally marked by the dark specter of the coronavirus, which modified habits and procedures at the Senate. In the following report, Christian Che Atam presents a balance sheet of the first session of the 2020 legislative year at the Senate.
The first session of the 2020 legislative year at the Senate was a particular one. Taking place within the context of an upsurge of the coronavirus in Cameroon, it required the strict respect of barrier measures and social distancing norms. Despite the crispy conditions, the Senate successfully carried out its constitutional duties. The first high point of the session was the putting in place of all the necessary organs and the election of a new bureau, led by Marcel Nyat Jifenji as president and Abubakari Abdullahi as first vice. During the 29 days the session lasted, that is from the 20th of March to the 18th of April, the House deliberated on and adopted 4 bills. The first, authorizing the President of the Republic to ratify the revised Treaty of the Economic Community of Central African States, ECAS, and another to modernize the postal sector in Cameroon.
These 11 ECA nations have created free movement of both persons and goods, thereby encouraging the building of budding industries in the various ECA nations.
I would want to start by qualifying the bill governing the postal sector, because it is a bill which cuts across. All the regulations are going to really strengthen the economy of Cameroon from the village level right up to the urban level.
The session also saw the adoption of a bill to improve social welfare in Cameroon, as well as another to improve the monitoring of international navigation.
Senate did all what they could to enable the smooth functioning of the state and the nation, and look into the responsibilities we have as senators to accompany the head of state in managing the country as a whole.
A seminar to equip senators with the appropriate knowledge of the coronavirus, the successful holding of chairmen's conferences, and the steady functioning of general affairs committees of the Senate also marked the first session of the 2020 legislative year at the Senate.
And that's where we draw the curtains on this edition of the 7:30 News. Join Atabadine Omar at 8:30 for the news in French. And you'll be in the company of Moki Edwin Kinseka as from tomorrow. Do join me same time on Friday. As from now, bye for good night.